We are here with Scott Patterson. Very excited to welcome you, Scott, to PopCon Louisville, which is happening June 16th through the 18th. Just so you know a little bit, Scott, about what you're getting into, Con's been around for 10 years. It is a pop culture convention. So for people who say, like, oh, a Comic Con is not for me, PopCon is for everyone, especially when I say to someone, okay, well, do you like Gilmore Girls? Because Scott Patterson's going to be there. Everyone's a fan at PopCon. So let's start off by talking about the fact that you have been doing a lot of conventions. And is there anything since you started the convention life that you feel like, has enriched your connection with the fans? It seems like you keep doing it, so you must be enjoying it.
Yeah, well, that's why, I had a conversation while we were doing the Netflix episodes for Gilmore in 2016, one day at lunch, and I was sitting there with Sean Gunn having lunch, and he was talking about the convention circuit, and I said, "Oh, well, I did one last year, and it was just kind of random, and I did one 10 years prior in Cleveland, and I really enjoyed it. Such an immediate connection with the fans, and we're behind the scenes all the time filming, and we don't really get to, every once in a while, a Warner Brothers studio tour, golf carts strung together come by, and the fans are like, and they're so happy. And so he was telling me about his age. He says, I'll give you a number and call. And it sort of led to all this. So for the last couple of years, and I started about a year before COVID, started hitting the convention circuit and having just a blast because the fans are, I don't know that the Gilmore demo is really a convention type of crowd, but boy, do they show up. When Shawnee and I are there, or Sean and I are there, or I'm there solo, or Sean's there solo, we can't mesh on that particular con because of our schedules. The Gilmore fans show up in droves, and it's always a delight. It's amazing to see how many different generations are discovering the show. The last one I did in Toronto just a couple of weeks ago, there were like 13-year-old girls coming up with their moms and getting all nervous and saying, I always wanted to meet you ever since I was 11 years old and watching the show when I was young. It's just amazing to connect with all of these great fans, and they're so generous, and they give me gifts, and they say all these nice things. So what's not to love, So I hope everybody comes out and says hello. We have a good time at the table. We really like get into it and have these conversations. I've been moved to tears.
Scott, you gotta tell us what's moved you to tears.
There was a young guy who came up. He was waiting in line, and then he came up and he told me a story. He handed me a card of a young girl in memoriam. She was 14. She was killed in a car accident. Oh. And he was real close friends with the family. And he said, is there any way you can, there was a coffee card from a coffee company. He said, could you give this away to some stranger and then hand them this card so that they can keep passing her memory on? And I was just so moved by it. And I actually came out from behind the booth and gave him a big hug and told him he was doing, the right thing and bless his heart. And just so moved by that. And I actually gave away I haven't given the card away. I still have it in my office to remember her by. And just this beautiful young girl who, the mother was driving, and it was just, they got rear-ended on a highway. And her daughter's gone. So it's these people, they come up for comfort. The show for them is comfort. Like nothing can go wrong. And so they show up, and they want to tell me how safe they feel within that show. And when that show is on in the background, and it's just like this warm blanket for them. And it was a very, very moving experience. And I've had tons of those experiences with fans. So it's all, that's what people ask me. What's the kookiest or weirdest experience you've ever, and I don't have them. I don't have kooky, weird experiences with fans. I have great experiences with fans. So, and I don't know, it's almost like they're part of this extended family.
You didn't realize when you were making Gilmore Girls, that you didn't have that, connection, and even social media wasn't really there yet. So for you to be getting these stories, it's almost like it's
Right.
deepening the meaning that came
Right.
from making this show, which
Right.
was a while ago for you. We've
Yeah.
got some fan questions. I know, like, it's crazy to think, Scott, I was with you. I was watching it when it was coming out every week. And it's like, now
Yeah.
we're here and we're doing this, and
Yeah.
we're going to be at a convention. You are going to be at PopCon Louisville, June 16th through the 18th. Your buddy Sean Gunn is going to be in Indianapolis with us in August. We couldn't get it to work out for the two of
Ah,
you to be together. I
ah.
know. But I do have some fan questions, because one of the beautiful things, like Scott was saying, a lot of the Gilmore Girl demographic maybe isn't someone who would think they would go to a Comic Con, but PopCon is something where you're very welcomed, and you can come into a panel and you can ask Scott questions and you can share your meaningful stories. So I thought it would be fun today. I reached out to the fans and just said, hey, what questions do you have for Scott right now as we get ready for Louisville? And the first question that came in from Madison, she said, it's very common for fans of Gilmore Girls to rewatch the series over and over. Is there a movie, show, or book that you revisit?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, I read, there's a book from my high school years called Gravity's Rainbow by an author named Thomas Pynchon. And I don't know that I've ever sat down and read it cover to cover. So I read it in sections because it's so long and it's so dense. Movie wise, first I'll always watch 2001: A Space Odyssey or Clockwork Orange. TV wise, right now I am obsessed with Yellowstone.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm all about Yellowstone, and I'm reading all these articles about Costner maybe leaving, and I can't imagine
I
that.
just saw, Scott, honestly, I swear, I just saw this morning that they said that they figured things out
Oh
with
no, really?
Kevin. Yes.
Oh
And that Kevin
yes.
is going to come back,
Oh
and they're
good,
still
good.
going to do the Matthew
Right.
McConaughey
All right, great.
spin-off thing. So
All
we're going
good.
to get the best of both worlds.
That's a big relief, because on the little downtime that I have, I watch Yellowstone, and I just love that show. Love that
Yeah.
show.
Yeah, we had some of the guys from Yellowstone at PopCon last year, so
Yeah.
you just missed out on them.
Yeah.
Next fan question comes from Liz. She says, were there any scenes during the Gilmore Girls that you were nervous about filming or felt particularly challenged?
That had to be that first kiss. What was that? The end of season 4? Yeah. So, because I have a podcast now, I Am All In with Scott Patterson, iHeartRadio, and we're just starting breaking down season 5. So we're 2 episodes in season 5. So we just went through all that season 4 stuff, which was spectacular. I think that was the nerve-wracking part, because we both wanted to get it really right, because we knew what a moment it was going to be, and for the show and for us personally, because she really just wanted to kiss me so much. And I've been saying,
Lauren was just waiting.
no, let's just wait until it'll happen. Just relax. Stop banging on the trailer door so much. No, I'm kidding. And I think also there was a big speech I had in the Netflix episodes where I think she's going to break up with me, and I deliver this long monologue.
Oh yeah.
I was a little nervous about that, because it's a lot of words, and it's a big, intense kind of emotional scene. But she's such a great scene partner, Lauren is, and she's so supportive that I felt really comfortable in that space with her. And I think Amy was directing that. So it was all it felt really safe. You want to feel supported and safe in that situation when because there are easier days, and then there are harder days. And then there are days where it's just like, oh boy, man, how am I going to pull this off?
Well, and with Gilmore Girls, you had so much dialogue. It was just, it was so fast.
Right.
It had to be a lot to just get those scripts and be like, okay,
Yeah.
we're doing this.
That's just a muscle you develop and out of necessity, and it's sink or swim. It's pure survival. So you just, you put the work in, and you just get it done.
And
know.
a final question from our fans. Anne says, how many cups of coffee do you think you actually poured while on Gilmore Girls? And how do you like your coffee?
Well, I like my coffee black. I like Scotty P's Big Mug Coffee. I have a coffee company, so I
Yes.
like my own coffee and I drink it black. Maybe a touch of honey. And how many cups of coffee do I think? You know that I don't know. That's a good question. That's a really good question. How many cups of coffee did I pour? I would say 80, maybe 70, between 70 and 80. I was going to say 72.
Wow. Okay.
What's is it?
Somebody's going to go do a rewatch and be like,
So there's no answer.
there's no answer. She just wanted
Oh,
to know.
oh,
No,
shit.
she
Oh,
just
I don't know.
wanted to know how much you thought you poured.
Well, if we're talking about, well, no, probably in the hundreds, the multiple hundreds, because we did take after take after take, right? There you go.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Was that coffee hot? Were you serving Lauren hot coffee?
Uh, yeah, it had to be warmed up because you wanted that steam to come up,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And the
That's right.
camera sees that. So,
All
yeah.
right. Before we let you go, Scott, thank you for talking so much about Gilmore Girls with us. But can you tell us? I mean, this was the number one question when I said I'm going to talk to Scott Patterson. When are we going to get Sullivan's Crossing in the United States?
Well, I can only say this. I can't tell you when. It'll be soon, and it's coming in a big way. So that's
Ooh.
yeah. I think we're number one in Canada right now, and it's really just I'm so pleased for Roma Roth who developed the series and is writing it and wearing so many hats on the show, because she also created Virgin River, which is the number one streaming show on Netflix. But we're really lucky to have her, and it's fun to make episodes with her because she's hands on and she's supportive and she's just absolutely great. She wants our input. She puts her ego aside, and if we have an idea, she'll listen. It's just a dream job with dream people. I mean, you've got this glorious young talent in Morgan Cohen. You've got Chad Michael Murray, who is just like, the pros pro. You got Tom Jackson, who's a legend and a terrific actor. You got Andrea Menard, who is also another legend. And these are just powerhouse forces of nature. And I don't know. And the rest of the cast is fantastic. And we're just having a blast up there. And we can't wait to get back up there. So.
Well, we can't wait to actually get to see the show here. And we can't wait for you to come
Thank
to
you.
PopCon
Yeah.
Louisville.
I'm
So
looking forward to it. Yeah. Hey, I'm Scott Patterson. Can't wait to see you at PopCon Louisville, June 16 through 18.